What if one invisible system quietly shaped the modern world? A system connecting oil, war, finance, global trade, and political power. A system so powerful that entire economies rise or collapse depending on access to it. This system is called the petrodollar. It is not simply about oil. It is about why the United States dollar became the center of the global economy, and how energy transformed into geopolitical power. To understand the modern world, we must understand the petrodollar. After World War II, the United States emerged as the world's dominant economic power. In 1944, world leaders met at the Bretton Woods Conference to redesign the global financial system. Under this agreement, most major currencies would be tied to the US dollar, and the dollar itself would be backed by gold. This meant foreign governments could exchange dollars for gold at a fixed rate. The dollar became trusted because it was connected to something tangible. But by the late 1960s, problems emerged. The United States was spending enormous amounts of money on war, international influence, and domestic programs. Too many dollars were circulating globally. Countries began questioning whether America actually possessed enough gold to support all those dollars. Then, in 1971, President Richard Nixon made a historic decision. He ended the direct convertibility of the dollar into gold. The gold-backed dollar system collapsed. The world suddenly faced a massive question. If the dollar was no longer backed by gold, why should the world continue trusting it? The answer would soon come from oil. During the 1970s, oil became the most important strategic resource on Earth. Modern civilization depended on it. Cars, factories, military forces, airplanes, electricity, global shipping. Everything required energy. At the same time, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, known as OPEC, gained enormous power over global oil supply. The United States reached strategic understandings with Saudi Arabia and other oil-producing states. The arrangement was simple but revolutionary. Oil would be sold globally in US dollars. Any country wanting to buy oil would first need dollars. In return, the United States would provide military protection, weapons, financial access, and political partnerships. This transformed the dollar. It was no longer backed by gold. Now it was backed by global demand for energy. The petrodollar system had been born. Animated global map showing oil exports and dollar flows. Central banks holding reserves, U.S. Treasury bonds, New York Stock Exchange, cargo ports and shipping lanes. Narration: the petrodollar system created a powerful cycle. Step 1. Countries needed oil. Step 2. Oil was priced in dollars. Step 3. Countries accumulated dollar reserves. Step 4. Oil exporting nations earned enormous quantities of dollars. Then came the most important part. Many of those dollars flowed back into the United States. This process became known as petrodollar recycling. Oil-producing countries invested their dollar profits into U.S. Treasury bonds, American banks, Wall Street, real estate, and military purchases. As a result, the United States gained extraordinary advantages. America could borrow money more easily than other countries. It could run large deficits. It could finance wars, infrastructure, global influence, and economic expansion. Because the world constantly needed dollars. This helped the US dollar become the dominant global reserve currency. Even today, many international transactions are still conducted in dollars. The petrodollar system effectively connected energy to financial power. Visuals: military bases, aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf. News clips of sanctions, Iraq war footage, diplomatic meetings between world leaders. Narration: the petrodollar system also reshaped geopolitics. Control over energy routes became deeply connected to military strategy. regions rich in oil gained enormous global importance, especially the Middle East. Some analysts argue that protecting the global dollar system became intertwined with American foreign policy. Military alliances, sanctions, and international pressure often revolved around energy and financial stability. Because the global economy depended on oil priced in dollars, the United States gained unprecedented influence over international finance. Washington could use sanctions to isolate countries from the dollar-based financial system. For many nations, exclusion from dollar networks could cripple trade and banking access. This created both stability and resentment. Supporters argued the system brought global liquidity and economic order. Critics argued it concentrated too much power in one nation. The petrodollar became more than economics. It became an instrument of geopolitical influence. Today, the petrodollar system faces growing challenges. Countries such as China and Russia have explored alternatives to dollar-based trade. Some oil transactions are increasingly being conducted in other currencies. The BRICS nations have openly discussed reducing dependence on the US dollar. At the same time, global energy markets are changing. Renewable energy, electric vehicles, and technological transformation may gradually reduce oil's central role in the global economy. Some analysts believe the world is moving toward a more multipolar financial system. Others argue the dollar remains dominant because no alternative currently matches America's financial markets, military reach, institutional stability, and global liquidity. Even with growing competition, the petrodollar system still shapes international trade and finance today. But its future remains uncertain. However, the petrodollar is not simply about oil. It is about how energy, currency, military power, and global finance became interconnected. It explains why the US dollar achieved extraordinary dominance, why oil-producing regions became strategically critical, why economic sanctions can shape global politics, and why changes in energy markets may transform international power in the decades ahead. For over 50 years, the petrodollar helped define the modern world order. Whether that system continues, or slowly changes into something new, may become one of the defining geopolitical questions of the 21st century. Will America still be a superpower without the dollar? What if the US dollar stopped ruling the world? Would America still be a superpower? The dollar gives America enormous global power because most international trade, oil transactions, and financial systems depend on it. That allows the United States to borrow massive amounts of money, impose powerful sanctions, and influence the global economy. But America's power is not only the dollar. The United States still has the world's strongest military, one of the largest economies, advanced technology, and global cultural influence. Without dollar dominance, America would likely remain powerful, just less dominant. A weaker dollar would not destroy the United States overnight. But it could create a more competitive world, where multiple powers share global influence instead of one nation leading alone. The real question is the world entering a new financial era?